Hello and welcome everyone to Grid Vision. We're excited to be here this lovely Sunday afternoon for some Global Racing Truck Series action at Martinsville Speedway. And of course, this track has been a doozy this week, and can't wait to see what these guys do in these trucks. Of course, my name's Brian Britt. I have Austin Edstrom as my co-commentator. Of course, down behind the scenes, or behind the cameras, I should say, is Austin Derbyshire, going to be bringing us all the awesome camera angles here. But this is going to be an interesting one. I mean, 200 laps here at Martinsville. This is the second to the last race in the Global Series Global Racing Truck Series Championship hunt. Austin, how you feeling about this one, man?
Well, I'm excited to see who makes the Final Four. It's going to be a bit of a interesting race here today. I'm about tired of Martinsville this week, if I'm being honest with you. Friday night about took it all out of me, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the Truck Series here can do. The Global Racing Truck Series, I should say. But yeah, half-mile short track, Martinsville. With a lower car count than NIS, I actually think we could get a good race, right? We had 37 on Friday night. This one, I'm seeing probably around 17, if I had to say. So I think we're probably going to get a little bit cleaner race.
Well, we'll definitely hope so. Of course, it looks like it's pretty cool right now, 77 degrees. Before we get too far into it, though, well, I don't think we actually have the schedule. So let's go ahead and go into the schedule. So we have, of course, next week's schedule, and I'm sorry, the rest of this week's schedule. I do apologize. So Martinsville later tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, we're going to have 250 laps there in the Xfinity car. Of course, this week we saw the Cup car. I didn't see the Cup car because I wasn't there, but Austin did. We see the trucks here today, and we're going to see the Xfinity tonight. So a lot of Martinsville. We're going to see what it handles like in all three vehicles. Make sure you tune in for the RNGR Kylie Glass Cup. The points coming into tonight's race, or today's race, that's what's going to be incredibly important to look at. And taking a look at that, Chad McGinley right now, I'm pretty sure is fairly locked in at the moment. He's got, I do believe, 6,461 points right now. He's almost 100 points over Justin LeBlanc right now, who's in second place. Steve Gerber is in fourth place, or third place, I should say. Bobby Mantle, after last week's race, moves up to fourth place. So that's the top four right now. Now, the drivers that are on the cut line is Ricky Hudgens, Michael Hayes, EJ Luna, Stephen Hayes, Mark Roy. So those drivers are essentially pretty much, they have to do well. Ricky Hudgens especially, he is the one that I think has the best chance of jumping into the Final Four, maybe kicking out Bobby Mantle. But this is going to be interesting to see. I mean, it's crazy to have this being the second to the final race, Martinsville. This is why I think the intensity is so high in real-life competition and in some of these leagues.
Yeah, I think that Bobby Mantle is probably not the one that he would knock out unless he has a really bad accident sometime in this race. He's been stupid quick, and he ran the pole time by nearly a full tenth of a second. So I think Bobby Mantle's going to be the guy to beat today. He might have a little bit better luck, and I hate to say this, maybe knocking out Justin LeBlanc. He's starting more in 12th place, but Ricky Hudgens hasn't even laid a qualifying lap in yet, and it's coming down to the end of qualifying. So they're actually going to be starting side by side on the grid, Justin LeBlanc and Ricky Hudgens. It's all about which one of those two, and it kind of gets up towards the front soon or quicker. But yeah, it'll be interesting just to kind of see if any of these guys can point their way in. It's going to be tough.
Here we go. Of course, we got the starting grid all set. Bobby Mantle at the top of the board. You mentioned it. Very fast qualifying lap there for him. I do believe a 19.07. Chad McGinley, of course, going to be starting second place. So at the top, 1-2 right now on the starting grid. These guys have been lighting the season up, boy. Third place, Joshua Slade. He's been fast as well. Fourth place, Mark Royce. Fifth place, Daniel Ott. Sixth place, Steve Gerber. Seventh, Tyler Honeycutt. Eighth, Austin McGill. Ninth, DJ Honeycutt. 10th, John DeMatteo. Of course, 11th, John Howard. 12th, Justin LeBlanc. 13th, Ricky Hudgens. 14th, Stephen Knight. 15th, Ron Harrington. 16th, Ronald Holmes. And rounding out this 17-car field is Kenny Heave. And definitely going to be excited to see how this one goes. I mean, 17 cars, not too bad. But knowing these guys, I mean, Austin, these guys get rowdy. I mean, I don't want to mischaracterize these guys at all, but they do get rowdy out here on this Global Racing Truck Series. No matter what track they're at, they can get a little bit wild.
Yeah, the series, it's not like dirty by any means, but there's definitely some rough driving times or from time to time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some of that here. Maybe a couple little bump and run attempts. We'll just have to wait and see. But I don't know. I think we're going to get a pretty good race here today, at least better than what I watched on Friday night. And, you know, this isn't a shot to the Global Racing Truck Series. But typically, I'm looking forward more to the NIS race, just because I mean it's 40 guys just about, and it's typically a really good show on the mile and a halfs or tracks like that. But the short tracks, that car count is just not doable on iRacing. I got to be honest. It stinks, but it just seems like for whatever reason you put 40 guys on a little short track, somebody is just going to wreck somebody every 5 laps. But whenever you got 17 guys that take care of each other a little bit more, because they are racing week to week with each other, and they know each other a little bit better, I feel like you typically get a little bit more respect on the short tracks at in leagues like this. So I'm actually really excited for today's race. It might not sound like it because I just woke up, but I promise I am.
Do want to mention as well a little bit of the facts about the race. Of course, 200 laps. They do have 4 sets of tires down in the pits. Now, I don't know exactly how much tires mean. I mean, I saw in the next-gen car, because I did call it a next-gen race actually this week, I should say, in a different series that wasn't involved with Grid Vision. But so I did get to see what the next-gen tires were looking like. I never really get to see what the trucks look like, though. So we'll have to see if tire wear is going to be a big deal. But those guys do have 4 sets down in the pits. Of course, fuel, I don't think we're ever going to really talk about that. But I'm pretty sure the fuel window is probably around 140 to 150 laps. So that's a long run that they'd have to make it before they have to worry about gas.
Yeah, I'm not thinking they're gonna have to worry. I mean, one stop, you just pit as soon as you feel the tires. Really, I think that's the main thing. You're gonna have to pit once, but it's really gonna be a more of a tire thing than anything. So we'll just have to wait to see on the tire fall off. I think that's just something we're gonna have to learn throughout the day. I've not seen any truck action this week yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing this one. I think it's gonna be a good one.
No, I definitely think it will, because the pace car has dipped down pit road. We're getting ready to go green for the first time here in the Global Racing Truck Series. And here comes Bobby Mantle into the Geico restart zone. Green flag out for the first time. Look at that. Chad McGinley and Bobby Mantle go almost at the exact same time, but Mantle looks like he is going to have the lead. On the exit of turn 2, it looks like McGinley is able to cut off Joshua Slade. Both of these at the top drivers looking incredibly fast. We see some side-by-side action from Mark Royce and Steve Gerber there for a moment.
Yeah, we saw the little bit of a stack up in 3 and 4. If one guy goes through the center of the corner just a little bit slower than what everybody behind is kind of used to or what they're expecting, then it just creates such a huge stack up. And I think we can see that a lot at the beginning of the race as people are just trying to figure out everybody else's pace. You kind of got to learn how fast the guys around you are so you can kind of know where you can pick and choose when to go to the inside, when to go to the outside. There's some times that, the outside is viable, but you would much rather be a part of the conveyor belt, wrapping the inside, passing somebody than being stuck on the outside like Austin McGill right here. But we're going to try to see him work around the outside of the 62 of Daniel Ott, but not the preferred groove. But he's doing a pretty good job staying, actually getting his nose ahead of Ott before they get down.
Whoa, and there he goes sideways into the outside wall. Caution flag flies. It almost didn't there. It was a low-speed hit, and I think he's okay. I mean, he does have a little bit of rear damage. You see, he definitely bowed up the spoiler a little bit there, but he sent it in hard on the high side. And you were just talking about that. He was very fast up there, but I think he sent it in a little too hard. He saw daylight, I think, in a lot of ways, Austin. He thought he was about to get clear of that 62, and unfortunately just smoked him into the corner.
Yeah, that was a big fat announcer jinx right there, just talking about how good of a job he was doing hanging around the outside of Ott, and then the next corner he just wheel hops it down into the concrete corners right here and just outbraked himself a little bit. Well, that's just such a weird one too, because it's not like it was early that it happened. He got down into the corner and then it stuck around on him. At Martinsville, it's really a trail breaking racetrack. Like, you are trying to drive it in as deep in the corner as possible and turn with the brake, and then catch it with the wheel to continue the turning in the middle of the corner. And it just seemed like he got to that middle portion on the trail braking aspect of it, but just maybe had a little bit too much wheel into it at that time. And I don't know, the rear end just kind of came around on him. Tough to see that for McGill, but it is early. He'll be able to get that damage fixed.
Yeah, for sure. He should be able to. Should be perfectly fine. I mean, this is not a track that I think requires too much of a straight spoiler, so he should be okay to get back going. Of course, one thing about short tracks like this, these half-mile tracks, you don't have a whole lot of time to actually fix the race car. If you come down pit road and you're at the back of the field, a lot of times you're in danger of possibly even going a lap down. So that's going to be something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Of course, it's a 17-car field, actually 16-car, because I do believe Kenny Heath did not make the grid. So it'll make it a lot easier for him to get that damage fixed because of the simple fact there's not as many cars that he has to wait behind in queue. But Bobby Mantle right now leading us, leading this queue, if you will. But a lot of good battling. I think that just that first 5 laps give me a lot of hope for this race. If more of that keeps happening, I think we're in for a good one.
Yeah, I think we'll. I think it'll end up being all right. Just got to worry about people doing the same thing that McGill did, because whenever you're on the outside, you feel like you got to do a little bit more, and you really do.
Yeah.
You got to drive it harder if you want to stay out there, if you want to make a pass on the outside. So we could see similar stuff to that all race long. But I got to say, I know it was only 4 laps, but it was nice seeing the field was clean with each other, right? It wasn't like that was a big incident where somebody just overdrove and took somebody else out, or it wasn't anything frustrating from anybody. It was just 2 guys racing hard and one of them driving it just a little bit too deep into the corner. So not the typical caution you see at Martinsville. Typically it's beating and banging. So they give me a little bit of hope in the first 4 laps. And I want to say I'm looking at Austin McGill's rear bumper right now. I don't know if he got it all fixed, but it doesn't look bad. It looks a little widened out, like he's got a little bit more of a parachute on the left side, I'd say. Not too massive, but the rear bumper's just kind of poking out to the left. Who knows? Maybe that'll end up helping him out a little bit, but he looks to be a-okay. Just dropping back to the 16th place position here at the back of the field, but Bobby Mantle takes the inside right here on the restart. Chad McGinley lining up in second.
I was just getting ready to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth about it might even help him. Sometimes at tracks like this, that kind of stuff can actually help you. You'd be surprised. I've seen it happen. Just maybe a little touch on the wall gives you a little bit better handling, something like that. We'll see if that helps him. Of course, like you said, Bobby Mantle lining up to get this thing underway. Pace car down pit road, as of course we see the at the top drivers lined up side by side. How does this restart look? I guess we're getting to find out. As here comes Mantle on the exit of 4 into the restart zone. And the green flag is back out. He goes earlier this time, catches Chad McGinley off guard. I'm wondering if maybe they're probably communicating as McGinley falls in right behind Mantle. Of course, Mark Royce moves up into the 3rd place position. Royce, of course, last in the playoff drivers, does not, I do believe, have a foreseeable chance of actually making it into the Final 4. But I'll tell you what, he's up on that wheel up in 3rd.
Yeah, and going back to the at the top guys, we've kind of noticed Bobby hasn't had the greatest round, right? The first 2 races of this round, he wrecked. The 3rd race, he won. So he's putting himself, into a good scenario to where he's just inside of the playoff cut line. But we've seen at the top. Oh man, there's
Tyler Honeycutt.
Yep, the 2 of Tyler Honeycutt goes around. I'm going to finish my thought, though. They've worked together really good, at the top guys have. So I feel like since McGinley is practically locked in to the last round at this point on points, he is so far ahead of everybody that he is locked in. I think he's going to play a little bit of defender here for Bobby Mantle this entire race.
That would be a smart thing to do, because considering Bobby is just on the cut line, above the cut line, of course, he wants to keep him from being taken. And looks like maybe I think this could have been a misuse of the throttle a little bit here. Getting back to it a little too quick, I'd say, but then he was right behind Gerber, and you see right there, he went up the track a little bit here. I think when he did that, it unsettled the truck a little bit for the exit of the corner, and he probably, when he got back to the gas, the wheels started spinning.
Yeah, and he was just holding it a little narrow on exit, so he didn't really let the truck unwind itself up to the wall as you would normally do whenever you don't have anybody on your outside. So I think that maybe he was a little focused on that side-by-side battle in front of him and just kind of following the car on the inside. Just maybe had a little bit too much wheel input down at the bottom while he got onto the throttle. It's really weird. I've seen now the trucks and the next-gen car, and I raced the Xfinity car this week, and it's weird. The Xfinity car seemed to have the most grip out of any of the vehicles this week. I mean, I could pound the throttle and that thing would not get loose coming off the corner, but I've seen so many guys in the next gen and the trucks kind of have that issue and just lose it.
No, that's definitely very true. That's very, very true. I've definitely heard a lot of guys say the Xfinity car is a lot easier to drive this week at Martinsville, which is saying something. Usually the Xfinity car is the hardest car to drive. I mean, it's usually the exact opposite. I mean, usually the real wheelmen are the ones that are in the Xfinity car, but it seems like that's not the case this week. And this truck has definitely appeared to be a handful. I mean, you can't really have too much wheel in it on exit. And I think we've been seeing that. It's a lot like how you see at road courses. Whenever you don't want to have too much wheel in it when you're on the exit and applying that throttle, you're asking too much of the tire, especially this being a flat track. But here we go. Looks like getting set for possibly another restart. Pace car should be going out here. Oh, looks like we got one more lap. I was wrong. Bobby Mantle, though, in the lead. Chad McGinley, of course, sitting second place. Mark Royce is in third. Joshua Slade is in fourth. Daniel Ott is in fifth. That's the top 5 right now. And we're definitely trying to see who is going to make it into the Final Four. We'd love to hear from you down in the comments. Who do you think is going to make it into the Final Four? Who do you think is going to be the champion? We'd love to hear from you.
My favorite's Bobby Mantle. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it next week. It's kind of my early pick. I'm thinking Bobby's going to come home with the championship. I think it's, at this point, pretty obvious it's between the two at the top guys. I really do. I feel like they've just been the class of the field the last 10 weeks, and it just looks really good for them. Both of them at the front right now. But, it just looks like it's going to be one of those two for sure. And I don't know. I'm just kind of it's just kind of a toss-up between those two, but I think I'm going to go with Mantle if he ends up punching his ticket here this week.
Yeah, no, I respect that call. I mean, because both of those drivers have been just killing it this season. I mean, this at the top team have been fantastic.
It's all about whenever you start hitting it too. You got to hit it at the right time of the season, and they are hitting it right now.
That's right. They got their finger on the pulse. As of course, pace car has dipped down pit road. We're getting ready to enter the Geico restart zone once again, and Bobby Mantle up through the gears. And it looks like I think McGinley, not going to be. Well, there he goes. He falls in behind that time. He waited a little bit too long, I think, but it's okay. They are able to. A little bit of contact there between Royce and Slade there for the third place position. Royce goes up the track. A little bit of beating and banging here at Martinsville.
Royce is using Slade up back to back. I mean, he is just flying it in there, using every little bit of the racetrack. He's doing it again off at 2. They're tight. Oh, and the 62, Daniel Ott goes around, gets a little bit of contact from behind. Everybody scatters in the back of the field. Great job from everybody behind that not to get collected.
Yeah, another accident out on the racetrack. Daniel Ott, the 62, who is running up in the top 10. Unfortunately, he has some issues here. Let's take a look. Okay. This is kind of a multi-parter here. John DeMatteo got into the rear end of Steve Gerber and sent Gerber into the rear of the 62. Then Gerber got into him again, it looks like, because, of course, the 62, after being hit in the rear, probably was a little bit unsettled. I'd say the car or truck was a lot more unstable. We take another look at that. We'll see. There was a secondary hit because I think the 62 was trying to gather it back up. Austin, what's your take on it?
Oh, man, big punt from Gerber going into the corner. And then, Gerber's just a little over-aggressive. Gotta be honest. I don't know.
I think that, I think the secondary hit was a little bit of over-aggression. But if you look at that, John DeMatteo hit Gerber in the rear and sent him up into the 62.
Well, then if there's, if it's that little bit of conveyor belt issue, then, so I was talking about how Ott, maybe, or I was talking earlier about how maybe the car in front just goes a little slower than the guys behind are kind of expecting. And that one was, I guess, kind of the same, right? Ott was going maybe a little slower through the center of the corner, and it allowed the two guys behind him to catch up. And, if you are that third car in line, it's hard to see just how much room the car in front of you has. So you're trying to roll the center as soon as you can, so maybe you can get under him coming off the corner. So it's just the product of that conveyor belt tightening up in the middle of the corner. Kind of unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it just sucks to be Daniel Ott in that situation because you're the one that went around.
And DeMatteo, of course, now coming down pit road. I think he's going to be possibly getting a little bit of damage repaired on that race car, considering he did hit the rear end of Gerber. That sent him into, of course, Ott. And the secondary hit, of course, was on Gerber. Didn't really let him gather it back up. So front end damage, I think, is probably worse than rear damage here. So I think I respect DeMatteo's call. Try to get some of that fixed. But it shouldn't impact him too much. It wasn't a hard hit. It was almost like a bump that you would probably see at Daytona or Talladega in a lot of ways. He just pushed him. So hopefully he's okay. But definitely been an interesting race so far. We're 23 laps in. And Bobby Mantle so far has led every single lap. But I have a sneaking suspicion Mark Royce might get wise in a lot of ways to what these guys are doing on the restarts. That's one thing I've been noticing this week at Martinsville is it's very hard to keep that third place driver guessing and that second place driver guessing. Of course, second place driver Chad McGinley, he don't have to guess. He's probably getting advanced warning on when Bobby's going to go. But Mark, he's got to try to guess when they're going to go. And I've seen it to where after a number of restarts, they can, the third place guy can get a little bit more wiser to when they're going to go.
Yeah, and I feel like Martinsville is one of those racetracks where you typically go relatively early. I think that you can kind of switch it up at some point if somebody's starting to figure it out a little bit, but you never know. Mark Royce really could jump the start on Bobby Mantle here. You know, you're in that position behind. I feel like it's almost worth the risk to maybe lay back just a little bit so that you can get a run on Mantle's rear bumper before he goes, because the restart zone's so small. So we could see maybe somebody in third place at some point kind of figuring that out.
Yeah. And here we go. Pace car is down and away, and the green flag is back out in the air at Martinsville, and that was definitely a interesting start. Looked like the first start there. They kind of just went at the same time, as Mantle does get clear, but Chad McGinley not so much. Looks like he's having to have powered down, of course, on the backstretch, but he is still not clear. Mark Royce possibly going to take second away. This is not what At the Top wants, but it looks like McGinley is able to get clear for second.
Yeah, Mark Roy's starting to figure out that restart cadence just a little bit there, going down onto our fourth restart of the night. So Royce living and learning a little bit here early, trying to figure out when Bobby Mantle's going to go on these restarts. Was able to get to the inside of McGinley that time, but not quite able to keep his nose in there. That outside line can get really good runs off. So if you've only got your rear bumper even with the guy on the inside, you can maybe make something work, but it does get really tough. Royce just maybe thinking we're a little too early in this race to really bonsai it in there and try to take every little bit of room I can on the inside. Probably smartly just going back into third place, because also you got to think you'd rather be in third place than second on these restarts. If you're in second place, the guy in third is typically just going to drive past you. The only reason we haven't really been seeing it too much here is because both the guys 1 and 2 are on the same race team, likely giving each other a little bit of a countdown on the restarts.
Yeah, 100%. It looks like McGinley, though, slowing up in front of Royce. Royce has to check up, and this is going to possibly put him under fire from DJ Honeycutt. Honeycutt tries to look to the inside, not quite able to get there, as well as Steve Gerber has worked his way up to fifth. Another championship hopeful, Ricky Hudgens, is up into seventh. He's in fifth in the points right now, desperately needs to get points here, and he's doing it right now. He actually started, I do believe, 12th place. He's already up to seventh. How about that?
Yeah, his problem is that everybody that he needs to beat in the points is either in front of him or only right behind him, right? He's got Justin LeBlanc right behind him, but he's too many points to the good on Ricky Hudgens for that to matter. He'll still, keep that top 4 over Ricky. And then Steve Gerber's in front, who's in third place in the standings right now, if I do believe. And then Royce up in the front also, but I believe Royce is actually a little bit further back in the standings. So we'll just have to see. Ricky Hudgens, Justin LeBlanc, Steve Gerber, those are kind of the guys I'm keeping an eye on. You bring Bobby Mantle into that too if he gets stuck in the back of the pack, but with him leading right now, it would be obvious that he would make it into the final 4.
So far, so good. This has got a lot of, it looks like we're going to be turning some laps here. I hope I just didn't curse us. But I got to mention, though, kind of Steve Gerber, going back to him being third in the points right now. I'll tell you, this guy has had a fantastic season. Of course, has not won races, but he's been incredibly consistent. And I'll tell you, to be completely honest, I don't know if I've said this before or not, but Gerber used to not be very impressive to me at all. And I know he's probably going to be like, Brian, why'd you say that? But I'm about to say something good as well, though. He is impressing the heck out of me this season. I mean, he used to be, I'd say, a C-tier type driver, but he's been turning into a B-tier and could even go to a A-tier.
Oh, man, we're bringing in the C-tier stuff on drivers in our leagues now. This is kind of tough.
I mean, hey. I mean, it's a good rating system. I mean,
if you're as long as they're improving, like you mentioned, right? So
he's been improving. I mean, he's in the championship 4 possibly here.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the position to work his way into it. So you're absolutely right. As long as he beats Ricky Hudgens, he'll be fine, right? So that's kind of what he's got to keep on his mind, that he's going to give himself an opportunity, and that's a big credit to you. I mean, that's a really good point.
Oh, we got a problem. The 78 of, I do believe, I think that's John Howard.
Stephen Knight.
And Stephen Knight and Daniel Ott once again involved in a crash. This is our biggest crash yet, involving, I do believe, 3 race cars. You see John Howard, I think, might have gotten tagged in the rear by Knight. I think Knight was trying to make the pass. He saw a lane open, and unfortunately it was not open enough. And well, this is a kind of a low-speed collision. Shouldn't cause too much damage. Could have been a lot worse, that's for sure. But it did involve 3 trucks. That was the biggest crash we've seen thus far on lap 36.
Hopefully they'll clear John Howard's black flag also, because he had to go down through the pit road here jumped into pit lane. So hopefully they clear that black flag that I imagine he got. He'll need to let somebody know. But yeah, just kind of a tough accident. Again, that's one of those things. One guy's going a little bit slower than the guy behind kind of expects through the corner. Maybe Knight overdrove it on the brakes a little bit. Not too sure. It's hard to tell, man. It really is hard to tell. Just, what's the normal speed through the corner, and then, who's the one at fault? Like, did Stephen Knight go too fast, or was John Howard just kind of a little bit under the limit there? It's kind of tough to figure that out, in the early goings. But look at this, Mark Royce from P3. He's going to pit. A little early to do that, but hey, a little bit of strategy call here from Royce.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe his tires might not be holding up as good as he probably wants them to. But while we have a moment, I think now's a good time. We'll go ahead and take a quick step away. We'll pay some attention to our sponsors while we got an opportunity.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible.
Welcome back to Grid Vision's coverage of the Global Racing Truck Series. Of course, my name is Brian Bruton. I have Austin Estrom as my co-commentator. Green flag is getting ready to fly once again as the pace car heads down pit road as we navigate through 3 and 4. And Bobby Mantle with the field in hand. He, of course, is going to enter the Geico restart zone, and there's the green flag waving. Field stacks up quite substantially. Danny Watt takes him 3 wide as a result.
Hard racing all throughout the field, out to the inside of Stephen Knight there through the middle of the corner, but they're all racing for P3. Also, Steve Gerber looking to the outside of DJ Honeycutt, going down into turn number 3. Gerber using all the racetrack all the way up to the top lane of the concrete. Can't go any higher than that, or else you're just going way up the racetrack and you're not going to be able to fight. But still, to the outside of Honeycutt, diving down into turn 1. Gerber doing a good job hanging on the outside, but if he can't do it, Joshua Slade's going to be right there to take that position away as well. Now he's side by side with Slade before they go down into 3.
He almost got lucky. He almost got clear to get right in front of Slade, but unfortunately Slade, I don't believe, cut him too much of a break. And I would not want to be up there if I was in Gerber's shoes. I mean, that is just, he saw his teammate Austin McGill up there spin out. I mean, I would not want that to happen to me as he gets a little bit wiggly off the corner, still side by side for that 4th place position. Of course, speaking of Austin McGill, there he is right in the rear view mirror, as well as Ricky Hudgens. And it looks like McGill gonna cut his teammates some slack. He knows he's working to try to get a championship. Slade sideways in front of him. This is sparking maybe a powder keg situation as Daniel Ott's slow, and he's gonna, I think, is Ott now a lap down. What happened to him?
Yeah, I was just shocked to see Daniel Ott on the racetrack right there. I thought he was a little bit further back. I was like, wait, he's losing positions, but no, he had lost an entire lap. Cannot quite tell what happened to Daniel Ott. Oh, Austin McGill, another wiggly situation, getting down into turn number 2, gets cut a break by Stephen Knight. Good job from Knight there, not to run over the back of McGill or make that a weird 3 wide situation coming off the corner. But yeah, Gerber had just gotten into Joshua Slade there, going down into turn 1 right after Slade had cleared him. And good job from Slade holding on to that, because that was a pretty hefty hit into turn 1.
Yeah, no, Slade definitely sideways, and I'm glad Gerber kind of let him collect it as well, because I mean that could have been a big situation right there that could have had championship implications as well. I mean, Of course, you see Ricky Hudgens. This has got championship implications. He's right behind Steve Gerber as well as Daniel Otto, who's lapped down. He's right there in the mix as well. Justin LeBlanc, he's, I do believe, third in the, or I think he's second in the points, actually, right there as well. So a lot of championship hopefuls all right here in the line wanting to do whatever they can here to get some points. You can see, of course, the championship standings right on our screen right now.
And I do want to point out that Chad McGinley one is a typo. He is way ahead of that point situation.
Yeah,
he's not actually
100 points over.
Yeah, he's way to the good. So don't even worry about Chad McGinley on those point standings. But everybody else, Justin LeBlanc, Steve Gerber, Ricky Hudgens, and even Bobby Mantle leading the race, all fighting for their playoff lives at this point. But right now, oh man, Austin McGill goes around again, coming out of turn number 2. No contact with anybody or the wall, though. Unbelievable that did not end up being bigger than it should have been, or bigger than it was, because that was insane.
Yeah, of course, we were talking about it's close to 100 points, but it's, to be a little bit more exact, it is about 80 points that Chad McGinley has over, I do believe, the second place driver of LeBlanc. Of course, we just saw Austin McGill go around again. He seems like he is fighting handling woes with that race car. We're going to see exactly what happened there. And we'll see, of course, he got clear of Mark Royce, and I think, unfortunately, still was kind of a little... Oh, this actually might have been based on some contact. Royce helped him out a little bit. Ooh. I'm surprised Austin didn't get down to the bottom. I think because he was trying to clear Royce, he missed his mark going into the corner, and that is what let, I think, a little bit of a lane up and maybe slowed him down through the center, and Royce, of course, tried to pounce on it.
Yeah, Royce kind of got his nose in there, and McGill was just a little bit up the racetrack. Great job from De Matteo to not absolutely destroy the rear end of Austin McGill, though, coming through on that accident. It looked like that was going to be a close one, but ultimately, no harm, no foul. McGill able to come down and get some tires. Probably doesn't even need any damage repair because he didn't hit anything. So good job there from everybody not getting involved, because that was a car spinning on the exit at 2 and staying up high is typically a recipe for disaster here at Martinsville, but that time it wasn't.
Yeah, 100%. See, that worked out as about as best as it could. Of course, it looks like we had somebody, I think, come down pit road. Steve Gerber, who was up in the top 5, is now back in 13th. And some strategy playing out right now. Of course, top 4 right now are on 52 lap old tires. Everybody behind them essentially has pitted recently. Of course, 5th place has went down 15 laps ago, I do believe, as well as 6th place 14 laps ago. So, and I do believe that back in 8th or 9th, back behind that, everybody has pitted recently. And it looks like tires have been the name of the game. A lot of guys have been taking tires here closer to this lap 50 mark.
Yeah, a lot of guys did come down pit road that time. I think I saw Steve Gerber, Ronald Holmes, Austin McGill, Tyler Honeycutt, all coming down pit road that time by, and I think there was a couple other drivers as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they can work their way back up through the field on those new tires. Just how much do those new tires mean, right? Are they going to be way faster than these guys now that we've run a few laps on the tires, or are they still going to kind of just be stuck in the traffic?
No, I think that's definitely going to be a good point. Will they be faster? And also, even if they're not faster because of the tires, they were up towards the front, so they are faster, I'd say, just in general. So that also could cause more issues because Martinsville is a track that's all about knowing someone's braking points in front of you. If you're a faster driver and you're behind somebody that's a little bit slower, that's a dangerous recipe right there. As the pace car lights are, of course, off. We're getting ready to get this thing back underway here at Martinsville. We're now, I do believe, getting ready to start lap 55 here. As, of course, this is the second to the last race here in the Global Racing Truck Series Championship hunt. Next week, we're going to be heading to Phoenix, and we're going to be crowning us a champion, and I cannot wait. Of course, I've had a long, long history with these Global Racing Truck Series guys, and it's always great to see a driver get crowned. As, of course, we see Bobby Mantle exiting turn 4, entering the Geico restart zone, and the green flag will fly once again. And a good start there for Mantle and Chad McGinley. Ooh, McGinley is able to get down behind Mantle. Thought he was getting ready to get into his right rear for a second, but looks like everything is all calm and collected. DJ Honeycutt, look at him, up to 3rd place. Mark Royce fighting, I do believe, with Justin LeBlanc. And, of course, Joshua Slade. Slade up to 4th. Of course, that top 4 are on old tires. Does that affect them? We're getting ready to find out as you see John Howard fighting to try to get up into the top 5.
Yep, Howard now looking to the inside of Royce, not quite able to get there, but looks like they're starting to single file out. Oh man, John Howard loose into turn number 3, makes a little bit of contact with Mark Royce. 2 hits going into the corner. Royce up into the outside wall, and they spin behind. That's Steve Gerber getting spun around, coming off of 4.
This was just the dominoes falling. I mean, this was just a butterfly flapping its wings and causing a tidal wave. I mean, that's the only way I know to describe this, Austin.
That was a pretty good way to do it, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, the huge stack up front because everybody. Oh man, it actually started.
Just
Ricky
started.
Hutchins.
I mean, one little domino got knocked over. You know.
Yeah, Ricky Hutchins got into De Matteo there. I think Matteo was slowing up for Royce hitting the wall coming out of 4, and maybe Hutchins just couldn't quite see it. And then at the same time, Gerber's checking up for the 21, spinning out the 26, and just kind of gets into the right rear of Hutchins, and then Royce couldn't, or not Royce, but Ott couldn't get it slowed up there in time either.
Yeah, I mean, Royce had it saved, and of course he got into the outside wall like you said, and unfortunately though, some other drivers I think reacted to that a little bit poorly, and unfortunately, I mean, it's hard to see in these race trucks as well. I think a lot of that probably had to do with visibility. This track is very narrow on the exits of these corners as well, so it's hard to see when something's going wrong.
It's very hard. I mean, you have nowhere to look. I mean, there's nothing you can do if you're just a couple cars back. You just don't even see the guy spinning out a couple lanes in front of you. So it's just kind of a hard thing to get used to, and it takes a little bit of a sixth sense to get around Martinsville in the right way.
It's a blind corner. I mean, that's the best way I think to describe it. It's a blind corner. This track is so narrow. They call it the paperclip for a reason, and that narrowness, that paperclip-like tendency, of course, leads to not being able to see on the exit of the corner. When you're in the middle of the corner, you can't see the exit, so you don't know if there's a truck up there waiting on you.
Yeah, you're just relying for your spotter to come on there and be like, car stopped up high, and then even then it's probably wrong. It's probably down low at that.
I don't know. They've gotten better here lately. I'll say that since the new iRacing updates, they've been really adding a lot of information to that spotter.
That's fair. I'll give it to you, but you just never know, man. They could spin it out, wreck up top, and they're almost stopped up high, but it's letting you know that hey, there's a guy spinning up high, and then they eventually wind down the racetrack or spin down the racetrack after that, and you can just be a little hairy with that because it's not perfect, and it can't be perfect, right? If it triggers that they're going to tell you that they're spinning up high at some point, they're not going to immediately switch it over. It's just part of computer code, so it's just kind of a tough thing to deal with. But that's one of the things of not having real spotters here on the service, and I mean, I wouldn't expect them to provide everybody a real spotter,
No.
So it's just kind of the way it goes with iRacing. You just gotta kind of be aware of that and be a little bit more on your toes. Whenever I hear car stopped up high, I just slow it way down and sit in the middle of the racetrack because I don't know where they're actually going to be. It just means that there's somebody stopped ahead. So you just kind of got to take that with a grain of salt whenever you hear it.
No, for sure. And I'll tell you, I think a track like this, it very much pays to have a real life spotter. To have that guy that kind of is looking at the front of the field and just saying, hey, they're wrecking up front, back it off. The only bad thing about it is the people behind you might not have that same information, and they just drill you in the rear end.
Exactly, man. Like, there's just so many different variables that can cause you to have that kind of moment and it be a little, make it be a little hairy. So I think everybody's doing a decent job so far. I know we've had a decent bit of cautions, but it hasn't been like, terrible. I don't think this has been better than NIS.
Well, here we go. Pace cars dip down pit road again. And we're getting ready to get this thing back underway as Bobby Mantle leads us into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back out again. A little bit of a stack up there with John De Matteo not getting going. I think he misjudged when everybody else is going to get up to the gears, as we see Joshua Slade racing hard with DJ Honeycutt for that fourth place position, or third place, I should say, as you see as well. Justin LeBlanc, very good resurgence here for him. He's going to be needing the points, of course. He's up to, I do believe, that fifth place position, side by side as well, behind Josh Camford and Stephen Knight. Stephen Knight, of course, the top motorsport driver. Usually not, or he's usually the third wheel, I'd say, when it comes to Bobby Mantle and Chad McGinley. But I tell you, he's been showing a lot of pace, and he's working his way closer to the front to join his teammates.
Yeah, he just work his way from the back of the pack, qualified in 14th position. Actually didn't lay down a qualifying lap, so started in 14th, and he's worked his way up to the P5 position right here, looking at the inside of Slade for fourth. Not quite able to get it done, but he drives it back down deep into turn 3, trying to get that nose back in there on Slade. able to do it, able to come off of turn 4 side by side, but Slade had such a good run coming off the corner that he's able to take the spot. Joshua Slade into 4th, LeBlanc 5th. Oh man, big contact in the back. Hudgens just drove into the back of John Howard and spun himself around through 1 and 2, but the caution did not come out. What? We're gonna need a replay of Ricky Hudgens going through 1 and 2 on that last lap. That was insane.
This is a separate incident right here. Mark Royce taking a tow, as this is going to absolutely, of course, I think his championship hopes were killed already, but here's that other crash.
How is this not a caution?
Ricky Hudgens with some issues. Looks like he just right into the back of John Howard. How did this not bring out the yellow flag? That's
what I'm saying.
When the man just did a 360. I mean, and he kept on going. I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, he did a 360 in the racing groove, and the caution didn't come out. It's not. Well, I mean, I don't even know what to tell you, but I'm not upset about it. We get to continue the green flag running. The field's got a little spread out now, so that's a little interesting. But that's huge for Ricky Hudgens, right? It's his own mistake, so you can't get too upset about it because he's the one that kind of caused it. He got into the corner a little bit too hot. But you got to be upset because there's a car sideways, and now you've dropped all the way down to the back of the pack, and the caution didn't come out. So you are seconds off the race lead now, and he is in the playoff hunt.
This is terrible for him. I mean, he's in 5th in the points. He needs a good finish here. If he does not get a good finish, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's over. I mean, but it's not over yet for him, of course. Knowing Ricky Hudgens, he's going to just pick himself up by the bootstraps and get back to racing, I think. But, of course, this is definitely going to be very frustrating for the 21. Bobby Mansell, though, has led every single lap thus far. Top 4 still on old tires, and they seem like they're able to keep pace significantly enough. I mean, it seems like they're okay. I mean, it doesn't seem like tire wear is really affecting them.
Yeah, it hasn't really come into play yet, but you could think maybe another 30 laps on the tires if we get a green flag run. Maybe they start wearing, and the guys that put on tires still have, another 30 after that before theirs really kind of start falling off. So we could see it come into play further along in the later run, whenever maybe there's a little bit more tire fall off. We had quite a few cautions, so they haven't ran too many green flag laps. So it'll be interesting to see if we can finally get that green flag run. Will they eventually fall off, or will they stay even with the newer tires throughout the entire course of the event?
Yeah, that's definitely a very good question. I mean, looking at lap times right now, 19.845. Joshua Slade looks like getting by DJ Honeycutt, and I don't think it was in the nice way.
Well, he definitely drove it in deep into turn 1 to get there, but he didn't make. I don't think that he made any contact with the 15. I think he got in there nice and clean. It was a bit of a dive bomb. He didn't quite have the overlap, but he was just about there, able to get down to the inside, no contact through the middle of the corner. Honeycutt just trying to make the outside line work and got a little loose.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, just Slade was clean. Slade, of course, like you say, he dive bombed a little bit, but he had room to do that. He started the pass at the beginning of the corner, had his nose underneath, so he had the position, and it was clean. He didn't come up into him at all. Just looks like Honeycutt just got a little bit wiggly. So I'm sure Honeycutt's probably not too happy about it, but it's not really anything to be mad about. I mean, this is a race, right? I mean, you got to make passes at Martinsville, and that's the way to do it.
Yeah, we are starting to finally get, starting to get a little single filed out. Race leader Bobby Maynell not really pulling away all that much. Not to Chad McGinley, his teammate. Not too surprising. They typically are relatively even on pace, I got to say. If it's not McGill being 200ths faster than McGinley, it's McGinley being 200ths faster than McGill. Not much in between these two drivers, just about everywhere we go. But Joshua Slade doing a great job, staying right with him in 3rd, and LeBlanc and Stephen Knight are not too far behind in 4th and 5th.
Yeah, I think tires are starting to mean something too. I mean, because LeBlanc right now is running the fastest laps on the track. I mean, well, not the fastest. Gerber actually ran the fastest last time by out of the whole field. But LeBlanc is hitting 6s right now, and they're hitting 7s and 8s in front of them. So I think that LeBlanc might be low-key one of the best cars out here. We'll have to see. Of course, Lone Star has been struggling, and I think that whole Lone Star camp might have been like, hey, let's focus all of our efforts, all of our resources on LeBlanc. And you notice that Michael Hayes and Stephen Hayes are not here tonight, so possibly they're in his ear, maybe talking to him. I don't know.
Yeah, they definitely could be helping him out a little bit, but he's doing a good job holding on to that P4 position. Did he pit under that one caution where we saw a handful of guys pit?
He has 26 laps. Well, let me see, 42 laps on his tires. So he pitted 42 laps ago. he has roughly 40 lap newer tires than the guys that have not pitted yet.
And I think that's what we're seeing then with that, kind of speed difference that we've seen from LeBlanc the last couple laps. I think the last lap wasn't too good from him, but he's closing right back up on Joshua Slade here. And kind of the same story with Steven Knight. He's got a little bit newer tires than LeBlanc. So I think that if this thing runs green for a while, I think those two guys might be able to pick off a couple of the guys in front of them, maybe even challenge Bobby Mantle for the race lead at some point.
Could very well. I mean, Austin McGill's also incredibly fast right now. I think he hit the fastest lap that last time by. He got by DJ Honeycutt's up in 6th right now. He, of course, has about 6/10 to get up to Steven Knight. But, of course, Bobby Mantle leading this parade. He's got Chad McGinley right there behind him. Now, Mantle last time by a little off the pace. I'm thinking that maybe Mantle's starting to feel that the effects of that tire wear as well. As you could see, Austin McGill starting to catch up to the back of this train. This is going to get interesting when we have 6 cars all right there with a blanket over them.
Yeah, they're all nose to tail right now. Everybody just vying for that race lead. LeBlanc on the newer tires, Knight on the newer tires, and McGill on the newer tires, 4th, 5th, 6th, trying to leapfrog these guys. And if a caution comes out, these guys in front might have to come down pit road, and the guys behind them, they might just say, you know what, I'm going to stay out on these older tires and take the track position now.
I love this camera angle. We're sitting on the roof, especially at Martinsville. I think any other track, it's like this camera angle is not that impressive, but this shows the rotation that you need at this track, right? I mean, just this camera angle. You have to be able to really rotate through this corner. And I love what Austin's doing right here. He is dominating the corner. We haven't seen a whole lot of that here today.
Yeah, he is getting way down to the curb on exit, really allowing that front end to turn. Look at this. Turn right through the center of the corner, gas up, throttle out, straight wheel coming off the corner because you kind of diamond that exit. And it just allows you to have a really, really good run off the corner a lot of times. And you can see he's getting in there really deep, using all the racetrack on the outside, and then cutting in, trying to find a little bit of air on the inside of the racetrack as well, trying to peek his nose to the inside of Knight coming off. If he can get that run coming off the middle of the corner, then that's really where you can make those passes. I like that line he's running. I think that, we saw him at New Hampshire absolutely dominate the field. Martinsville is relatively similar with the flat corners, and you kind of got to run the exit of the corner the same. And I think that McGill's taking a little bit of that talent that we saw from New Hampshire and putting it to use here. Now he dives to the inside of Steven Knight, entering turn 1, and Knight's just going to let him have the position. Austin McGill up to the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, and that diamond thing, he was able to kind of turn it off when he was passing Knight and still rotated just as good. I mean, he's very quick right now in that 99, and I think if he continues to march his way forward, I think these leaders might have something to, I don't know, he got a little bit tight there. And Steven Knight almost got back to the inside. But, of course, Bobby Mantle still out front. McGinley all over the rear end of him. And, of course, now trying to hold off Joshua Slade. Slade has been really, really fast in this race. And you know Slade. Slade is not one to lie back. He is going to bring the fight to you.
Yeah, Joshua Slade doesn't really roll over for anybody. Man, he got in there a little deep, almost tagged the back bumper of McGinley, but he looks a little bit quicker than McGinley right now. He just can't get to the inside of him. It's a tough track to do that, right? It's a tough track to get down to the inside. He might have to give the bumper to McGinley just a little bit, just to ease him off the bottom of the racetrack and get his nose in there. I wouldn't be too surprised if you don't see that from Slade, if we don't see that from him here pretty soon, because I feel like you get a little impatient after being just all over somebody's back bumper lap after lap for so long. So if he gets back up to McGinley's bumper, I think he made a little bit of a mistake, fell off just a little bit. But if he can get back up there, I wouldn't be surprised to see him move him just a little bit.
Well, I think also what Joshua Slade is seeing as well is the incoming Justin LeBlanc and Austin McGill, and also Justin is seeing that same thing, and that's putting a little bit of pressure on this top 5. And I think that's, a lot of times pressure either, bursts pipes or makes diamonds, and I think it's going to burst a pipe here, with all this kind of pressure building on the back of Slade. So we'll see how this kind of works. Looks like a little bit of gap starting to form there. So Slade's probably like, I can breathe a little bit easier. But he's also still, I got to get past Chad McGinley. We got to break it. I think he's thinking, I got to break up this At the Top Motorsports 1-2. No one has succeeded thus far as we're closing in on that halfway point. 93 laps down. And wow, what a race this has been. Fantastic race at Martinsville. I think this is what a lot of people hope for in a race at Martinsville, but don't get it.
Yeah, it finally gets, just a little strung out in a lot of places, but the top 5 still under a blanket, nose to tail, nobody making any big mistakes, and just keeping everybody honest, right? If anybody in the top 5 makes a mistake, they lose, 4 spots. So just everybody doing a really good job up here towards the front half of the field, trying to put on a good show for us here, trying to make a good race for the lead, but McGinley still playing, teammate number 1 behind Bobby Mantle right here, just being able to hold off Slade for so long. I think maybe it's hurt the front end of Slade here. I think maybe that right front tire is getting a little worn. He's getting a little tight through the center of the corner. He's not quite able to keep up with McGinley and McGill right now. Or, sorry, Mantle.
Yeah, and I'm seeing Bobby and Chad starting to kind of grow in speed again. It seems like maybe their setup is working in a phase or something like that. Because they had a 19.8 there. Well, then it's kind of hard, I guess, to be consistent. They had a really fast lap, and then all of a sudden now they're back into 20-second laps again. So I think it's got a lot to do with having to cool their tires down a couple laps, and then they're able to get a fast one in. They're coming up to some lap traffic, though. Ron Harrington in the 66. Now, lap traffic can be quite a difficult thing at Martinsville, but I'm pretty sure Ron, I've seen him give spots up to other people, so I feel like Ron's probably just going to get out of the way here. But I do want to update as well on the cars that are not in competition anymore. Daniel, oh, there goes Ron Harrington, loses it in front of the leaders, and that is going to bring the yellow flag out. Man,
Well, that is one way to get out of the way. He got out of the way for
he
him.
definitely did. And taking a look back at this here, and I'm wondering he just lost it on exit. Love that paint scheme. Got to give a big shout out to Ronster Raps. I mean, he is a fantastic painter. A lot of the guys in this series run his paint schemes, but unfortunately, that truck's not going to look too great when it hits the wall. That's for sure.
Yeah, I just think he got a little high on exit and probably put the wheel into it, trying to correct it. Yeah, he's got a lot of wheel into that thing coming off the corner, and just kind of looped around on him. Kind of a lazy spin, but I don't think that's too heavy of an impact. I think he'll be able to get that damage fixed and come back and give us a good show here as our leaders are down pit road. Everybody has come down pit road putting on a set of tires.
Yeah, nobody has elected to stay out, so this is kind of interesting to see. I'm surprised, really, that no one tried to jump up and grab some track position. Mantle able to get off pit road first. Of course, Chad McGinley comes off second. Joshua Slade third. Justin LeBlanc able to hold off Austin McGill for fourth place. And, of course, Honeycutt probably going to welcome that caution as well, just considering Honeycutt, after getting his issue, had fallen back quite a ways off of this lead group. And so that's going to help him out quite a bit.
Yeah, and that puts, that kind of helps Ricky Hudgens a lot, right? He had fallen way back. It was just way off the, not off the pace, but he was way off the front of the field, 12 seconds back in P11. But that's going to put him right back in the fight to, work his way into the championship he's in 5th right now in the points. But he's riding behind everybody that he's got to beat, and that was because of that issue that he had earlier where he got, completely 360 no-scoped in the middle of the corner. So we're going to have to see if Hudgens can work his way back up to the front. He's got to beat Gerber. He's got to beat Mantle. He's got to beat LeBlanc, one of those guys, and he's got to beat them pretty bad, right? It can't be by 1 or 2 positions. It's got to be by about 5, 6, 7. So we're going to have to wait and see. Can Ricky Hudgens do it?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a very good point. I mean, and I really showed a lot of maturity from him to be able to do a 360 like that, no caution come out, and him from just get back going. A lot of times that would demoralize someone when you're just like, man, I just can't get right here today. But he's not. I don't think he's got a lot of quit in him. I don't see Ricky Hudgens being a quitter out here. Of course, he is last on the lead lap right now, but definitely still got a fast truck underneath him, I do believe. A lot of fast trucks out here today. I think if any one of these drivers gets track position over Bobby Mantle, they could win this race. I think it's a track position race here today, as the pace car lights should be going off this time by. And, yep, I called it this time. Woo! But Bobby Mantle right now has led this parade all race long thus far, as we have crossed that halfway point. And what a race it's been. I'm telling you, it's a breath of fresh air to see a good race at Martinsville.
Oh, dude, oh my goodness, you have no idea. I had a 20 caution race on Sunday that I ran in. I won that thing though, so I had a shameless plug. And then NIS 29 cautions. Come on.
Well, here we go. Bobby Mantle out of turn 4 into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back out in the air. A little bit of a wiggle there for Joshua Slade on the restart there. And that's going to possibly size him up or line him up for Justin LeBlanc. But the top two at the top drivers still in control. Austin McGill all over the back end of Slade here. Cold tires. Do these guys have to wait to get them warmed up? I think that's a big thing to deal with. It looks like McGill, though, able to fight and get 4th away from LeBlanc.
Yeah, good job there from McGill, able to just get right on the back bumper of Joshua Slade. Through the corner before that, Slade wrapped it really well. McGill just as well and was able to follow him through on Justin LeBlanc, move McGill up to P4. Slade still in P3. Both those drivers doing a really good job up here towards the front of the field as everybody's kind of single filed out.
What a lap there for Bobby Mansell last time by. Set his fastest lap of the race, 19.299. That was the fastest lap of the race. The only driver to get down into the 19.2s here tonight.
Yeah, that was an absolute flyer there from Bobby Mantle. Putting those new tires to use right here. Still got his rear gunner behind him of Chad McGinley. Everybody here doing a really good job keeping this thing green.
Yeah, and of course, Chad McGinley as well turned a very quick lap as well last time by 19.314. Very close to the lap that Bobby Mantle was able to hit. A lot of drivers just set their fastest laps, actually. Yeah, so really like to see that. A lot of these guys, I guess, reinvigorated with these new tires here. As the second half, of course, is underway. Yellow flag is out. Tyler Honeycutt, I do believe, is the driver we're going to be wanting to look at. It looks like he's slow on the backstretch here. As we take a look back and see exactly what happened here.
Should we take
like
our
him and Ricky
break on
Hudgens? Ricky Hudgens looks like might have got into the rear a little bit. It was trying to send it underneath Tyler and just tagged him just a little bit. But I think with that, now is a good time to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with some more racing action here at Martinsville.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Grid Vision. Of course, pace car lights have gone out. Pace car has dipped down pit road. We're getting ready to go back green once again with Bobby Mansell exiting turn 4 into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back out in the air. Mansell catching everybody off guard up through the gears. Really great restart. But here comes Austin McGill ripping it around the top here. Can he make something happen? Is he side by side for second place at the moment? Has, of course, I think he has definitely secured that third place position, possibly, but can he get down in front of Slade we'll have to wait and see. Of course, we saw Austin McGill riding on the top side before, spin out. Looks like he is going to be able to get in front of Slade. Slade cuts him a little bit of a break here as the battle is on for second place. You can see Chad McGinley trying his best to protect the bottom. At the top, might have their champion or their top two possibly broken up here by the 99. And what a race we have for this second place position. But you can tell Chad not wanting to move an inch off of that bottom, but Austin McGill using that diamond line approach that he was using before, as we, of course, get ready to start lap 116 at Martinsville. Bobby Mantle right now in the lead. Chad McGinley in second. Austin McGill third. Joshua Slade is in fourth. DJ Honeycutt worked his way up to fifth place. Justin LeBlanc has fallen back to sixth. Stephen Knight's in seventh. Gerber's in eighth. Ricky Hudgens in ninth. And John Howard is in the 10th. That is look at the top 10 as Bobby Mantle starting to kind of pull away. And I think the reason he's pulling away is because Chad McGinley is in defense mode right now and is not able to run, I think, his optimal line. And this is all as well provoking Joshua Slade to possibly send it in on Austin McGill. So whenever you're not able to run, I think your optimal line at this racetrack, it slows you down and causes some issues. Looks like Slade, a little bit of a issue getting off of that last corner, but it looks like he is going to be just fine as Chad McGinley starts to drive his way back up to the rear end of his teammate Bobby Mantle. I think he's got the ship righted in some regards, probably got the tires warmed up, but nose to tail is the top 7 right now, essentially. As you see McGill once again doing that diamond line. Bobby Mantle definitely trying to hit his marks. One thing when you're in the lead of a race like this, you do not want to look in your rear. Here comes Chad McGinley, challenge for the lead for the first time here today. McGinley trying to take the lead from his teammate Bobby Mantle. Could this set Bobby Mantle up for possibly not making it into the championship 4 if something bad happens to Mantle? Once you get into traffic, something could go wrong. Mantle has been in clean air all race long. As now, here comes McGill to the inside. And I think McGill put so much pressure on McGinley that McGinley had to go for the lead. And here, caution flag is out. Chad McGinley, your new leader here. As I think I'm not sure exactly who wrecked. I think it might be John DeMatteo. See smoke, of course, on this racetrack, so we'll see exactly what happened here to John DeMatteo. As you see, he is, of course, following behind John Howard, and just another instance of, I think, guys having too much wheel in the race car on the exits of the corner. That's unfortunate there for John DeMatteo. Strong run last week at Homestead. I think he finished third last week. It's a really great run. Thought he was going to follow it up with a great run here today as he comes down pit road probably to grab another set of tires there. But Chad McGinley lighting the Global Racing Truck Series on fire here today, taking the lead for the first time here in the second half of this race. Bobby Mantle, how does he going to feel about this? Ron Harrington, of course, getting his lap back. But Chad McGinley taking control. Of course, Austin McGill, watch out for the 99. He's going to have the inside on this next restart. But what a race. This has definitely gotten quite exciting here as Bobby Mantle probably wanted to keep that lead, but he had just bobbled a little bit in the middle of the corner. And unfortunately, Chad McGinley did not have the ability to hold back. He had to try to pounce on it, just considering Austin McGill was all over the rear end. And when
I didn't have the ability to hold back either in the washroom there.
Oh Lord, we could have dealt without knowing that. I appreciate it, but Austin, I know you were kind of in the restroom, and I'll tell you, I had a one-man duty of calling that whole series of events, and boy, I had a lot to talk about.
I missed the best part of the race.
Chad McGinley took the lead. You missed the best part of the race. You really did. Chad McGinley just took the lead from Bobby Mansell because he was being pressured by Austin McGill.
Good to know that McGill, he's got the race pace to get up here and be able to get down to the back bumper of both the top guys, give them the opportunity to kind of work up towards the front, maybe a challenge for the race win. We haven't seen McGill too much through the playoffs. Unfortunately, he's just had a lot of real life stuff going on, but nice to see him back in contention to win a race.
Yeah, and just to show, the pressure, that was being applied to Chad McGinley really pushed him to make that pass on Bobby. And Bobby also kind of, in a lot of ways, I'd say, bobbled a little bit in the middle of the corner and it kind of lost a little bit of speed. And I think Chad had to pounce. He knew that any sign of weakness from him was going to provoke an attack from McGill or Slade. And here we go, though. Pace car lights are out. Man, that was some great racing. I hate you missed it. You're going to have to go back and look at it again, Austin. I'll tell you, it was fantastic to see these guys out here battling.
Well, I'm looking forward to more of it. I think we're going to get a good restart here. McGill lining up on the inside. Maybe if he can time this jump right, he can get to the inside of Bobby Mansell here and kind of wrap his way into second place and really challenge Chad McGinley for that race win.
We hope that the Cup race today looks anything like this, that's for sure. I know it's starting in about 20-something minutes, so we definitely hope you stick with it. Green flag is back out. Austin McGill, thinking about taking it 3 wide, decides against it. Wow, did you see the bobble there? You could tell McGill's tires were spinning a little bit there, but he kept the momentum going, and he just pulls almost a slider on Mansell. Mansell is hung high and dry, and he is going to lose a lot of spots.
This is huge. This is big for the playoffs. Bobby Mantl's on the playoff cut line, and now he's falling back through the field, stuck on the outside groove. He's going back to 5th place, maybe getting Stephen Knight, his teammate, finally finds a teammate, lets him into 5th. Gonna stop the bleeding there for Bobby Mantle, but he just went from leading this race not too long ago, now back to P5 as Austin McGill had an unbelievable restart to be able to stay to the inside. We've seen the at the top guys give each other the countdown, give each other the a little bit of a boost on the restarts to be able to line up 1-2, but Mansell did not get a good jump. McGill was all over the back bumper of Chad McGinley, and he's able to wrap himself into 2nd place, and he's hounding Chad McGinley for the race lead.
It's just been absolutely crazy to see this. Also, we got a problem. John Howard around. Caution flag is out as a result. It was definitely not a dramatic accident there for just a little bit of a hit on the wall. But man, this has definitely been nuts. As we see, let's take a look at the replay, see exactly what happened to John Howard here. And it looks like I think this is probably going to be an isolated accident there. He just, once again, guys just loosening it on the exit of the corners. We've seen that time and time again. A lot of the crashes we've seen here today have not been based on actually being physical. A lot of times when you see how much wheel he had, and this is exactly why this happened. He just had so much wheel. He had that thing cranked up to 90 degrees, right? I mean, man.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of what we saw before. We've seen a lot of that, but also want to point out our 4 playoff drivers that are fighting for the last 3 positions in the playoffs into the championship round are all within 5 spots of each other. There's only one driver within those 5 spots that is not in this little playoff hunt, and that was it just reset because a couple of them came down pit road. So now it's not quite in that line. They making me look like a fool here. Ricky Hudgens and Justin LeBlanc are coming down pit road, but probably a smart call from these guys, right? Hudgens going to be able to put on some tires and maybe be able to wrap his way into a better position than Steve Gerber, maybe get up to Bobby Mantle. Those are the guys that he's got to beat. He's got to beat Justin LeBlanc, who came down pit road also. If he can beat a couple of those guys and beat them by a handful of positions, Hudgens could work his way into the championship 4.
Yeah. Well, I think the driver he has to beat, hands down, he's got to beat Bobby Mantle. Bobby Mantle's 4th in the points right now. Just last week was able to secure his way up into the top 4. I mean, so he is on the edge of dropping out. And so Ricky has got to be focused on that 89. And now I think this is the perfect time to pounce, because the 89, he's got to be having alarm bells going off in his ears right now that I lost the lead. He led the first 100 and so laps of this race. And once he lost that lead, he has just been steadily dropping down. And, if that continues to be the case, this could be the perfect setup for someone else to come up here and take this spot from him. And I know that he's your favorite in the championship, but this is definitely some exciting TV right here. And it's just unfortunate to see Mantle. And I even think about it in this way. Whenever you're up towards the lead, especially at a racetrack like this, when you're in the lead for a long period of time and you get back in traffic, that's got to be so like discombobulating because you're used to having nothing in front of you.
Yeah, it's difficult. All of a sudden, you go from running qualifying laps all by yourself the entire race to being stuck around everybody, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I have no room to do anything. So definitely just a tough spot for Mantle. I think that he will be safe, right? The only guy that can knock him out is Ricky Hudgens. And I think that Hudgens still has to beat him by 2 or 3 positions, right? So he's just got to make sure Hudgens doesn't get by him. But the bigger thing is he's got to make sure he doesn't get wrecked. If he gets junked, and now that he's in the Hornet's Nest, then it's going to completely kill his playoff chances. So that's what Bobby Mantle's got to be worried about here. It's not about, falling behind Ricky Hudgens, because again, I think if he finishes 1 spot behind him, he's all right. So it's not about the 21 car. He's just got to keep driving his race and make sure that he can stay up towards the front of this field and not get caught up in somebody else's incident. That's going to be the main thing here for Bobby Mantle.
No, I agree 100%. If he gets caught up in somebody else's stuff or something else gets turned, it could be lights out for his championship hopes. Chad McGinley, though, first time, of course, on a restart, or not first time, but he is now in the lead, is going to gun it and catches Austin McGill off guard. McGill, of course, falls behind him. Joshua Slade almost was able to get underneath him. Not quite able. Here comes Chad McGill. Here comes Austin McGill. He is going to challenge for the lead underneath. Now, Chad McGinley up the racetrack. Can McGill take it? Oh, we got Tyler Honeycutt with some issues. We stay green.
McGill's really good on the brakes.
McGinley able to kind of just cut off Austin McGill. You can tell that McGinley's willing to get physical over this. He does not want to let him get this win. Even though McGill is a non-playoff driver, this would not impact the playoffs really. But here he comes back to the inside. Big send for the 99, and this is bringing as well Joshua Slade into the fray.
Oh, McGinley gets the outside wall just a little bit, doesn't slow him down quite as much as I would have expected, but McGill is just so good on the brakes, man. I mean, he's able to wrap the center of the corner and get a straight run off these off the exit of 2 and 4, and being able to get to the inside of McGinley multiple times now. If I'm McGinley, I'm sweating bullets. McGill seems to be just a little bit quicker.
And that's the thing about it. We know how good McGill is at these types of tracks. He is a road course racer, and he's also good at short tracks. Anytime you involve a break, McGill is going to be fast.
And he's fast right now, still hounding McGinley, but Slade not too far behind, right on the back bumper of McGill, not giving him much room to breathe. So even if McGill's trying to use all the racetrack, maybe get a little bit bigger of a diamond to try to get a better run off, he can't do it too much, because then Slade's just going to stick his nose to the inside of the 99 before they get to the middle of the corner, and it's going to kill McGill's run, and they're going to get stuck side by side and lose a bunch of time to McGinley. But you see here, McGill way up the racetrack, trying to cut it down low on exit to get that run off. He's able to get up to the back bumper of McGinley, but not quite able to get the power down enough to be able to get to the inside. He's going to have to do it under braking.
And you see McGill had to check up, because McGinley slowed through the center of the corner compared to McGill. And that, of course, lines up Joshua Slade to take that second place position away. Can Slade get this position? Of course, the 12 have been fast all week long, or all day long. And it looks like Slade's going to get it, but here comes the crossover from McGill.
Yeah,
Man,
Slade
this
just
has been some
overdrove.
fantastic racing.
Slade overdrove the entry of turn 3, trying to clear him. Oh, they make contact coming out of 2 now. Both drivers running hard for the second place position, trying to see who gets to fight Chad McGinley. McGill on the inside, tries to drive it in deep on Joshua Slade, tries to get the good traction coming out of the corner. Not quite able to do it. Slade still in that P2 spot. McGill still got his nose in there, though, through 1 and 2. Not quite giving up just yet, but it looks like it's going to be Slade off the corner this time.
I mean, is this lap 199? Is it?
We're getting there.
It seems like it, the way these guys are racing. 145 right now, as Chad McGinley out front right now over Joshua Slade. McGinley probably breathing the sigh of a little bit of a breath of fresh air, as, of course, Joshua Slade sits in that second place position, 4/10 up on McGinley.
We've kind of single file conveyor belted out just a little bit at this point. Still a lot of action, a lot of guys close together, but nobody really fighting hard for position just yet. Just trying to, you know, build those gaps, and the guys that have a gap, just trying to reel it back in, like Slade, like McGill, just trying to kind of find their rhythm back, right? It's hard to get that rhythm after you've been side by side for so long, but man, Joshua Slade deep on the brakes in 3 and 4, able to cut the gap to Chad McGinley, just about in half on the entry of the corner. It gives up just a little bit again, but he was almost a tenth faster than McGinley that lap in second place. Slade is just looking stupid quick at this point.
Well, I'll tell you what, the championship points are starting to really liven up a little bit as Justin LeBlanc has taken a spot from Bobby Mantle, and now here comes LeBlanc up to 4th now, getting by DJ Honeycutt. So Mantle now back to 6th place. He is in danger here if Ricky Hudgens continues to work his way forward, as well as Mantle is struggling as his teammate Stephen Knight all over the rear end of him.
We're looking at the pit strategy. Justin LeBlanc's got the newest tires in the field, and he's coming up. I mean, he is absolutely flying through this field now in P4, right behind Austin McGill. Justin LeBlanc has come from the back of the pack on this restart to challenge for the top 3 right now. The tires are starting to mean something, I guess. Chad McGinley's running 7s. Justin LeBlanc's running 5s. And now he's getting past Austin McGill for that P3 position. Don't count Justin LeBlanc out now. If this thing runs green, he might be able to get up to McGinley and challenge for the race lead. But speaking of challenging for the race lead, Joshua Slade is still all over the back bumper of Chad McGinley. He was 0.5 of a second back not too long ago. Now only 0.2 as they go down into turn 3.
They had the exact same lap time last time by 19.753. I mean, they both hit the exact same lap. But yeah, LeBlanc is looking incredibly fast. I think Austin McGill overextended it and heated up his tires a little too much, and now he's starting to pay the price. But LeBlanc last time by very, very quick. Can he cut that gap down and get up there and fight for the top 2 positions as we're now less than 50 laps to go here at Martinsville?
And that would be a big confidence boost going into the final race of the year, right? If you're Justin LeBlanc, you've been a little bit off at the top guys here, but maybe you throw in a little bit of tire strategy, which I think you can see something similar at Phoenix because track position is so important there. You might see some different tire strategy to where you can come in late whenever other people don't and kind of, you know, wheel your way up to the front of the pack on new tires. You know, if he can do it here tonight, get up to the race lead, I'm sure that would be a massive confidence boost for the driver for the 85 going into the championship race.
And the thing is about it, I mean, Justin LeBlanc, of course, 2nd right now in the points. I mean, he is in a lot of ways, in my mind, I don't know about in other people's minds, but in my mind, he's flown under the radar in a lot of ways to me. You know, Lone Star guys, I'd say Michael Hayes and Stephen Hayes have been the killers in that team. But LeBlanc has been the one that has been like low-key just hanging out and, you know, really just knocking down consistent race after consistent race. And now he's like, hey, it's my time in the light, and he is definitely shining right now.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I feel like LeBlanc, for whatever reason, whenever we call these races, we don't mention him a ton, but then all of a sudden he'll just finish in the top 5 and have a really quiet day where he just runs from 5th to 10th all day, keeps that thing clean, and then all of a sudden comes home with the top 5. And I think that's why we're seeing him in such a good points position as well, being 2nd in the point standings. I mean, for somebody that we don't talk a lot about, you know, and being P2, I think that's really just shows that he's super consistent. He's not flashy, but he's not flashy in a good way or a bad way. He just is a top 5 driver and keeps that nose clean the entire race. And that's what you got to do to put yourself in the hunt for the championship race. Now, don't get me wrong, coming down to the last race, you're going to have the speed. You're going to have to be flashy, but it can get you there.
No, 100%. You know, save that flashy this for that final race, but you know, you're definitely going to have to, he's going to have to be able to win. He's going to have to be able to pull that trigger, to be able to flip that switch and turn on winning mode. And I know LeBlanc's capable of winning. I've seen him win in the past in previous seasons. So I'm definitely, you know, rooting for him. Of course, right now, looks like he's losing a little bit of that edge, a little bit of that momentum. With those new tires, I think he started to now plateau in a lot of ways to where he's on the same level as McGinley and Slade. Maybe LeBlanc pushed a little hard to get up there to that top 2.
Yeah, but even if he has, it's put him in a position.
Slade.
It's put him in a position where he doesn't have to worry about other drivers around him, worry about getting wrecked to drop him out of the playoff 4 or the championship 4. So, you know, with him running P3 and having a 2-second gap behind him, this has really allowed him to just kind of have a moment of kind of breathe. Like, you can just kind of chill and relax and just run your laps. Just run consistent laps. Don't overstep the boundaries of the race car. And just run your race. And he's put himself in the perfect position to do that, because if he finishes 3rd, he's in the championship 4, hands down. So LeBlanc is doing everything right here tonight so far.
Yeah, I think it would have been difficult to unseat him from that from the championship 4 either way. But this is definitely going to be that exclamation point probably on the end of that championship 4 hope for him. as he's definitely turning some really good laps. Last time by, he was a few hundredths faster than Slade and McGinley. I'm seeing a little bit of some chinks in the armor of Slade the last few times. I mean, of course, the last couple laps have been quick, but you can every now and again Slade kind of gets a little bit inconsistent. So I'm curious to see if that's going to continue to plague him. As of course he did fight very hard to get up to McGinley, but now McGinley out to 7/10 of a lead over Slade right now. Of course, we're looking back a little bit further. We see Bobby Mantle. And, of course, you see DJ Honeycutt as well. Mantle has worked his way back up into 5th, so he has recovered. And that's good. I mean, he probably had his heart rate was probably really, really high, but he's back in a pretty good standing. In 5th place, not a bad place to be, but the race for 6th place is definitely starting to heat up. You see Steve Gerber fighting hard to get up into the top 5. You also see Ricky Hudgens as well. He has got a lot of pressure on him right now. Tyler Honeycutt is not giving him an inch, and I think this might be because Ricky Hudgens, unfortunately, I think got into Honeycutt a little bit ago.
Yeah, and I think you got to know that you got to think of your Honeycutt. You know Hudgens is fighting for everything right here. And he did get turned by Hudgens not too long ago, but they're running single file right now. Nothing too crazy between the two, but Hudgens has just kind of been stuck here in that 8th place position behind Steve Gerber. Another driver he really needs to beat, driver that's sitting in P3 in the standings coming in. If he could beat Gerber by a handful of positions, he might be able to point his way in, but right now, only one spot behind him. Oh, it's not looking good, and Honeycutt gets into the back of Ricky Hudgens, and he's going to go around on the front straightaway.
That is unfortunate there. As Ricky Hudgens, that might be it. Of course, not too bad of damage. I don't think he got really any damage in that whole situation, but that's going to cost him quite a bit here as we watch Ricky Hudgens. I think just a little bit of a slow exit or slow middle. Actually, no, slow middle. And Honeycutt just not really giving him the chance to right it. Of course, unfortunate there for Ricky Hudgens. As we take another look back at this, off the back end of the Black Rifle coffee machine. You see just slow through the middle right there. And Honeycutt just had a much better middle portion and just didn't check up in time and unfortunately spun the 21 around.
Yep, tough break there towards the back of the field, but everybody coming down to get tires. No big strategy calls in this one. Everybody thinking we just need the rubber on this thing. Everybody probably getting a little bit tight through the center of the corner as the tires have been wearing out. Now everybody coming down pit road. Maybe it'll be interesting to see if anybody takes 2. Could maybe see a little bit of strategy call from somebody, but I'm imagining it's going to be a 4-tire pit stop for just about everybody in the field.
I mean, is 2 tires viable at this racetrack?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm surprised no one decided to try to take that chance. But Chad McGinley has been the winningest driver this season. He is now set to possibly win this race here at Martinsville. And what if he wins next week too? I mean, this guy has been just absolutely killing the competition this season. Of course, I think the middle portion of his season was not so good, but I'll tell you what, he has gotten so strong right when he needed to. I mean, this at the top team has been so good, and I'll tell you, they've been the ones I think that's been on our minds so much. And when it comes to just talking about them, and we talk about a lot of teams here in the Global Racing Truck Series, but I'll tell you, the at the top guys have been, I think, at the forefront of the good things that we've been saying.
Yeah, through the middle portion of this year, I thought it was going to be the Austin McGill show, but he kind of, I don't know, at the top found some pace whenever McGill lost a little bit, and ever since then, it's just kind of been the at the top guys. And McGill hasn't been here every week either. He's had real life stuff to do on Sundays, but you got to say the at the top guys just found a lot of speed. I think Slade is a guy that found a lot of speed too. Just hasn't quite able to seal the deal and pull through for that race victory, even though he's been fast enough to do it a couple times. But the at the top guys have just been consistent and consistently in first.
And I would have said as well at other times in this season, Lone Star. I would those guys are hot. Like, I mean, they were at one point they were out front in contention for every single race, and it seems like it's just crazy to see things change so dramatically here as the pace car lights have gone out, getting ready to go back green once again. We have less than 30 laps to go here at Martinsville. Everybody has gotten a set of tires, and I think this is going to be the last time we see any probably body visit pit road unless you have a wrecked race car.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think we're done with the pit stops. I think everybody's going to just kind of go forward with this on this last set of rubber and see what they can do. But pace cars coming down pit road right now as they enter turn 3 and 4 for the restart with 30 laps to go.
Here we go. Chad McGinley set to hold the keys to the restart here. As they enter the restart zone, green flag is back out. And look at that. Oh, we got some problems further back. Stephen Knight is around.
Holy cow.
And the yellow flag comes out. Knight head on into the outside wall as he is doing some victory donuts there, trying to get it turned back around. As we take another look here, I think this might have involved John Howard, possibly Ricky Hudgens. Yep, John Howard. Oh. And that is, of course, going to... I'm sure Ricky Hudgens is not happy about that, but John Howard I don't know. He just did not. Yeah, I don't know if he missed his shift or what, but all of a sudden the car, I think he had to spin his tires because you can see he started wiggling. Oh, yeah, something to do. I think he might have even downshifted. Surprised he didn't blow that engine because you can see the RPMs kind of just jumped all around, you know?
Yeah, I just think he spun the rear tires like crazy. I mean, goodness gracious, that the rear engine started kicking around like crazy, and that's on new tires too. You typically don't see that on freshies, but unfortunately, there it happened for Howard. Even more fortunate for Stephen Knight, who went head on to the outside wall. But honestly, not as much damage on the 78, or sorry, not the 78, but the 79, as I would have kind of expected, going head on into the turn 1 wall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the damage that might affect somebody is Ricky Hudgens. I mean, he hit the back end of Howard pretty hard, I'd say. I mean, it kind of bowed up the spoiler, the back spoiler. So you got to wonder what that did to the front end of the 21. As we're now less than 25 laps to go. And I think, I hate to say it, I think this is, barring the top 10 all wreck and Ricky Hudgens survives, I think this might be it for Ricky Hudgens, his championship hopes.
Yeah, that could be the nail in the coffin there for Ricky Hudgens. He's still in this, still in P11, but that's going to hurt. I mean, having a little bit of nose damage from that could definitely affect the driving on that race truck. It's going to be tough for him to kind of pick his way through the field with a little bit of nose damage like that. So tough break there for Hudgens.
He's going to need Bobby to destroy the race car. Literally, Bobby has to, he has to just really blow an engine right now.
I mean, it could be Mansell, it could be LeBlanc, it could be Gerber. If any of those guys have a really, really big issue, then maybe Hudgens can pick up the pieces, but it's going to be tough at this point.
And as you said, even as well, he has to have several positions on a lot of these guys that we're mentioning. So the only way that happens is if they have a catastrophic accident, and also he's able to get up closer to the front as well.
It could definitely happen.
It could happen, but the closer we're getting to the end, the less probability of this happening. But then again, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm always, a lot of times I'm always wrong. But I mean, but maybe I'm wrong because
this isn't math, so you might have a good chance.
I mean, the closer we get to the end as well, the crazier it's going to get. So the more likely there is for some catastrophic accident. So I don't know. But here we go. Pace car lights have gone out. Austin McGill, because of the timing of the caution, was able to secure second, but that means he's going to have to start on the outside. And of course, Slade's going to be starting on the inside. Bobby Mansell's back up into fourth right now, so maybe he's got a chance to get back up into the fray. As here we go through 3 and 4. Chad McGinley all set to take the green flag once again, and there it is. Green flag waving in the air. McGill not taking the opportunity to get behind Mansell. McGinley, he had the opportunity. Now he does fall into second. Wow, what a run McGill built through 1 and 2 there.
Oh, and he's got the inside through 3 and 4. He got a way better run through the middle of the corner. They make contact coming out, and that's going to slow down McGill. He's not going to be able to hold on to that spot as Slade lets him back in.
Oh,
Lets
no.
him. Austin McGill around in 1 and 2, punted by Joshua Slade.
Man, I kind of don't even blame Slade because, I mean, McGill had lost the momentum after contact with McGinley, came down in front of Slade, and Slade just is like, I cannot sacrifice this run. As you see this right here, Slade just with a huge run. And Slade was also dealing with a challenge from Mansell at the same time. I mean, Mansell was sending it. And now at the top's back up to 1-2 again.
I was going to say somehow Bobby Mantle's back in second place.
This is crazy. I mean, you see right there, that little bit of a bobble there. Austin got a little tight on the exit. Got up into McGinley a little bit. And unfortunately, that just set him up for disaster. And we talked about Ricky Hudgens needing someone to have a disastrous accident. He didn't need Austin McGill to have that accident. He needed Bobby Mansell to have it.
Yeah, it was the wrong guy there for Hudgens to have a chance. But there's still 19 laps to go. Still plenty of time for somebody else to, go a little over their head and punt one of our Championship 4 drivers. But it doesn't look like it's going to be Bobby Mantle. He's got himself back onto the front row, going to get that countdown from his teammate. But Slade's been stupid aggressive all night. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get to the inside of Mansell before they get down to turn 1. And at that point, who knows what's going to happen.
No, I mean, and not to pick on Slade at all, but Slade is known for hurting championship playoff drivers. I mean, heck, remember Michael Hayes? I mean, he just killed Michael Hayes in one race. I mean, I can't remember exactly where they were at, but I think it was Vegas, was it? I can't remember exactly what track it was, but I just remember Slade, him and Michael Hayes were racing each other incredibly hard just a few weeks ago, and I'm sure Michael Hayes is probably still reeling over that one, and that I think was the nail in his championship coffin.
Agreed. It took him way out of that. That accident was huge for Michael Hayes. Really hurt him going towards the end of the season. Tough to see that for that driver, because I feel like he had done a really good job throughout the year, and unfortunately for him, it just kind of went all awry on that race at Las Vegas whenever he was running up to the race lead. So that was tough to see from Michael Hayes. Very unfortunate, because I felt like he had the pace, had the truck week in, week out to challenge for that championship here coming down to the end of the season. Unfortunately, it just was not meant to be.
Well, and that's the whole point of me even mentioning that whole that incident is that Slade was the other on the other end, and he's made it abundantly clear that he's going to race these playoff drivers just like he races anybody. So, and that could possibly come as a bad maybe a bad omen for Bobby Mansell here.
Yeah, if I'm Mansell, I'm definitely sweating bullets. I mean, to be fair, that is the truck that just punted somebody into turn 1. So if that happens to Mansell, that's huge. That could give Ricky Hudgens a massive, massive opportunity to make the championship 4.
Yeah. But here we go. Pace car lights are out. Going to be going back green. 15 laps to go. And what has been a spectacular Martinsville race. Probably one of the best Martinsville races I've watched in quite some time. And most of the time, these races are pretty dramatic in the wrong ways. But this has been, I'd say, there's been some good, clean racing. There's also been drama as well. We've had a great balance to make this just an insanely entertaining race. But here comes Chad McGinley on the exit of turn 4 into the Geico restart zone, and there is the green flag. And wow, they went exactly at the same time. Look at that, Mansell getting a huge run on the high side. Can he possibly reclaim the lead here? And he does. Mansell is back on top.
Mansell with a heck of a restart there on the outside lane of the racetrack. Now McGinley under fight there from the two drivers behind him, LeBlanc and Slade side by side. Who's going to become the P3 driver? Maybe give these at the top guys a run for their money. Looks like Slade on the inside's got a little bit better run than LeBlanc that time and moves Slade up to P3. LeBlanc P4. Can Slade do anything now with Chad McGinley in second?
And you see LeBlanc all over the rear end of Slade. And LeBlanc, of course, being fairly, I'd say, easy on Slade at the moment. I'm surprised. I mean, I think that the closer and closer we get, I'm wondering if maybe LeBlanc's going to be willing to possibly put the bumper to the 12 machine. Because I'll tell you, LeBlanc has been impressive. He's got a top 3 machine here, I do believe, today. But at the moment, at the top, Bobby Mansell back up front. He led the first. Oh, yellow flag is out. Stephen Knight.
Someone else went hard into the inside wall coming out of turn 4 or coming out of turn 2. It was Tyler Honeycutt. He was ahead of Ricky Hudgens coming off of turn 2. The accident was a little bit further back. McGill hit the inside curb, took out Stephen Knight, and then as that caution's coming out, Tyler Honeycutt just looped it coming out of the corner by himself and clobbered the inside wall.
And unfortunately, I think Austin McGill a little bit aggressive there. as we see that secondary, the ends of that secondary crash there. But we see, of course, this is Tyler Honeycutt, I do believe, going around. You see just another loop off on the exit. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, and definitely a big hit to the inside wall there. And that is going to leave us with 10 laps to go here at Martinsville. And Bobby Mantle in control. He led the first 100 some odd laps of this race. Lost the lead. Thought he'd never get it back. I thought he'd never get it back. But somehow he is back up front. Chad McGinley. I got to be honest. I know that probably people can be like, man, why'd you say that? Chad McGinley, I think, kind of gave him that lead back.
He definitely didn't make it difficult on him. I can
yeah,
say
he
that.
didn't. Because, I mean, you don't make a pass on the high side for the lead that easily. Like, I just don't think it would have been that easy.
He definitely did not make it difficult. I mean, Mansell got a good countdown. I must say, I think he got a countdown on that restart, and he just had such a good jump that McGinley was just not going to fight it. I think that he knows Mansell just needs to not get punted through the end of this race. But that was a little bit of gamesmanship there between the teammates.
Yeah, no, good teamwork. I mean, I don't fault them at all. I'm not saying there's anything bad or wrong with what.
A lot better than the RCR teamwork last night.
I gotta say, I mean, just speaking on that a little bit, I don't like how everybody gives so much hate to Sheldon Creed. I think he's a great driver.
I didn't think he did anything wrong.
He was just racing.
Exactly, he didn't do anything. If they're fine if Austin Hill doesn't, come down the racetrack before they even get into 3 and just door the ever-living hell out of them going into the corner. That's probably the only reason why Sheldon Creed even needed to park the middle of the corner, was because he got absolutely clobbered going into it. So I honestly thought that was Hill's own fault for door slamming Sheldon Creed. If they just go in side by side through that corner, who knows who comes out the other end, in the lead. But he had to turn left and completely destroy both of their race cars. I felt like that was more on Austin Hill through the center of the corner, or through the entry of the corner.
Just kind of shameful.
Yeah, like you door a guy and then you're shocked whenever he has to slow down more in the center of the corner. Like, no, he needs to make the corner too. Come on.
It's kind of shameful the way they trash talk Sheldon Creed too, especially even his own owners.
I was about to say that was shameful.
Like that. That was just shameful. You're not supposed to talk. He's still under your contract. You can't talk about him like that.
Exactly. Like, buddy, you had Ty Dillon racing for you. You got Austin Dillon racing for you. You've had people dumber than Sheldon Creed. I can promise you that.
All right, it's how to get back to this race, though, as we come up to, I do believe, 6 laps to go. Pace car lights are out. Bobby Mantle is, of course, in the lead right now and set to possibly get himself a dub that leading into the championship 4. Here we go through 3 and 4 on the exit of 4 into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back out in the air. Mantle with a good start. He's going to get that lead secured. Oh, is McGinley kind of slow through the middle as well as 3 wide. Wow. Oh, LeBlanc hard into the outside wall.
Yeah, and Gerber hit it too. That's going to be tough. Oh, man. Trouble. Ricky Hudgens goes around. It looked like he was maybe in position as Gerber was having issues, but he got it in too deep on the inside of Honeycutt there. Takes them both out through 3 and 4. Massive mistake from Hudgens. He was maybe going to be in a spot to do it because Gerber was falling back, but he just entered the corner way too deep and took out Honeycutt.
My goodness. You see right there, Hudgens got into the rear of the 15 and unfortunately just spun the 15 around. And he had missed the issues with Gerb and everybody else. I mean, he was in really good position. If Gerber had a catastrophic, end to his race right there, because, I mean, it looked like Gerber was just going to fall back quite substantially. But unfortunately, right there, you see Ricky just being a little bit too aggressive, I'd say. And that actually kind of helped out Steve Gerber in a lot of ways.
It did. Massive. I feel like, Gerber was going to lose another spot or two just from that initial incident, and Hudgens was going to be about 3 positions better than Gerber. I don't know if that would be enough, but it was at least going to give him an opportunity. But now Hudgens has to drop all the way back to 11th place, and Gerber is still in 5th.
I think some pieces of that race truck of Hudgens has fallen off as well. I saw some debris. So I would not be surprised that he's definitely even more hurt after that. So definitely this is turning into a crazy ending to this race, as I do believe we are all set for green-white checkered.
It's going to be a crazy one. I have no idea. Honestly, I feel like Slade could get a really good jump here and then bump Mantle out of the way, right? Like if he can get right on his bumper before they enter turn 1, he can make a little bit of a bump and run move work. I feel like it's very, very possible through 1 and 2 for that kind of move to work. You ship the guy on the bottom, he gets in the guy on the outside, and you just skate through on the inside. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that here from Slade on this first green-white checkered.
Yep, it looks like we have 3 possible green-white checkers here. I was waiting to see what exactly, so 3 of them. And we could end up using all 3. Martinsville's known for that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So, and this could, things could change quite quickly here at Martinsville. We could see, the leader that's up in front right now, got us in 3rd place right now, might not be there at the end of this race. We'll see how this all plays out as Bobby Mantle, of course, is out in front. Chad McGinley's in 2nd. Joshua Slade, of course, 3rd. John DeMatteo, where did he come from?
Where's he been all day?
I mean, he finished 3rd last week, I do believe, at Homestead, and hasn't been anywhere close to the front this race. But now he's side by side with his teammate, Joshua Slade, in 4th. Wow. I mean, definitely love to see that. As I do believe the pace car lights have gone out. We're set to attempt green, white, checkered number 1. If we make it to the white flag, next flag will end it. Do we make it? I don't know. This is going to be intense. We got a lot of hurt race cars, a lot of hurt feelings as well. As Bobby Mantle exits turn at number 4 into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back out in the air. Bad start for John DeMatteo, wiggling as Austin McGill has to let off to stay off of his back bumper. Bobby Mantle, very good restart up in front as Chad McGinley tries to hold off to 12 of Joshua Slade. Side by side, Gerber and McGill, battle of the teammates. White flag does fly, and the next flag will end it. Bobby Mantle in 1 and 2. Does he hold off his teammate? Does McGinley try to challenge? Looks like he is pretty much in defense mode as Bobby Mantle exits turn 4 as a winner here at Martinsville. He wins at the paperclip. Oh, what a race for the at the top drivers. Chad McGinley getting very loose. As you celebrating a little premature celebration there. Well, I wouldn't say premature, but it was definitely very, very soon after they crossed the line. McGinley started doing some burnouts already.
And he took out half the field with him.
I don't know if that cost anybody any positions, though, so that's I hope not. But either way, what's most important is Bobby Mantle has sealed the deal. He is going to move to the Championship 4. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have our Championship 4 all set. That is Bobby Mantle, Chad McGinley, Steve Gerber, and Justin LeBlanc, all going to vie for a championship next week at Phoenix. And look at this, dual burnout from the at the top driver. And of course, with that 100%, he led the most laps here by far. With that, of course, we will move on into the ending of our Martin Sports winning moment. Of course, that being McGinley or Mantle. This whole race was a winning moment for him. Martin Sports, of course, is a family-owned apparel company in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. They've been open for over a decade and proved to be the best custom apparel provider for anyone. Whether you need apparel for your local sports team, business, special event, they could definitely do it. Not only that, Martin Sports is a major brand in sim racing apparel as well. They even have sim racing gloves. So if you want to represent your team the right way, you can get yourself some custom sim racing gloves, or you can just get some of the ones that they already have. Definitely very affordable. Visit martinsports.gg today to get started and get in contact with them. Let's go ahead and go through the final results here after this race here at Martinsville. And, of course, that ends with Bobby Mantle able to seal the deal after leading over half this race. Chad McGinley, of course, comes home in 2nd place. Joshua Slade in 3rd. Austin McGill, 4th place. Steve Gerber, 5th. Tyler Honeycutt in 6th. Justin LeBlanc in 7th. Stephen Knight in 8th. John Howard, 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is Ron Harrington.
11th was Ricky Hudgens. 12th, DJ Honeycutt. 13th, John DeMatteo. 14th, Daniel Ott. 15th, Ron Holmes. 16th, Mark Royce. And 17th, Kenny Heath.
And with that, we're going to take one more brief step away. We'll be right back, and we'll talk to our top 3 finishers. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Grid Vision's coverage of the Global Racing Truck Series. Of course, we are getting our post-race show started, where we're going to go ahead and talk to our 3rd place finisher. And, of course, that will be Joshua Slade. Joshua, what a race for you tonight in that 12 machine. One-on-one Motorsports definitely been doing some, or one of one, I should say. Y'all been doing some work, man. How you feeling?
Yeah, I feel good, man. We, as a team, we just try to stay consistent and hopefully just have someone in the podium each and every week.
Well, you definitely have been doing that for sure. You're carrying it, even by yourself. I mean, of course, your drivers have been doing well as well. John DeMatteo, unfortunately, he was up and had a top 5 possibly in the bag, but unfortunately, I think had a little bit of a bad restart. But still, great job for you. I mean, you were consistent all day long. What do you think you needed to do to get up there to to get to winner's circle?
Honestly, like throughout periods of the race, like I felt like I had a better truck than Bobby and Chad. I just didn't want to be too aggressive here because 1, I'm on a new wheel and new pedals, and 2, Bobby's obviously fighting for a spot. So I just wanted to race him with a little bit of respect.
Well, that's definitely good on you, man, to be respectful. I know, you're always, I got to say, you've always been an aggressive driver. We're glad to see you're kind of trying to allow him to at least possibly move on to the championship 4. But, man, you have been lights ahead fast than a lot of the drivers out here lately. I mean, what does that do for you when it comes to a championship possibly next season? I mean, is that what you're going to be vying for?
Yeah. Definitely. If we can keep the truck clean, I mean, being able to finish the race is probably the main thing that we're looking for. But yeah, I just feel like we can take all the momentum in from this season and all the stuff that we've learned from this season and just carry it over for our team for next year, and we'll be one of the top teams for the contender for the chip.
Yeah, I definitely can agree. I think you guys are going to be one of the top teams. You've been showing. I mean, every race you show up at has been one that you've had a chance to win, for sure. I mean, and me and Austin have both kind of mentioned it as well. Just the growth that we've seen from you as well. We've seen at certain points before in the early portions of the season, you haven't had as much long run speed, but of course now it seems like your long run speed has really increased, and you've been growing as a driver. So we've been loving to see it. But great job on the 3rd place finish, Josh. Who can we shout out for you?
Yeah, shout out all of 101 Motorsports. Shout out you guys in the booth. You guys put on a great broadcast each and every week. Definitely fun to watch it. I think at one point I heard somebody got 360 no scopes during the broadcast.
Yeah.
But no, just great broadcast. Shout out Kenny, Lester, everybody who comes in each week and watches each race. And everybody in the league, and just all the 101 guys, John, and both the Johns actually. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Josh. You have a great day, buddy.
All right, you too. Thank you.
All righty. That was Joshua Slade, driver of the 12 machine, finishing in 3rd. Next up, Austin Edstrom, standing by with Chad McGinley.
Chad, another good run from you here today. I mean, I feel like it's kind of a broken record at this point for us to be talking to you every single Sunday. Can you kind of walk us through your race? What were you kind of noticing through that? And did you think that you had something there for Bobby Mantle at the end, or were y'all just kind of playing a little bit of teammate games, making sure both of you had a shot at the championship next week?
Yeah, it was a good race, honestly. my mentality was to stay safe, and stay out of the trouble. So staying up front was definitely key. Getting down to that bottom line and not getting trained. Towards the end of the run, I got out front, was pulling away, and then Bobby got up next to me, and somewhat a team ordinance of be careful when we're racing around each other was definitely an order. I didn't want to make a mistake where could potentially kick him out. Definitely want both of us up there at the top motorsports, going for the championship next week. So a little bit of here and there, but it was a good battle. He had a fast truck, that's for sure.
So going into next week, the championship, kind of what's going through your mind right now? Like, what's your mindset for this last week of the season? How much practice are you going to put in, and what's your game plan for next week at Phoenix?
110% effort, that's for sure. Bobby's going to be a real tough struggle around there. He's quick. He's showing up fast every week. He really makes me push hard, so I know I got to go, give it all my all. Last week he kicked my butt going into the pits, so I definitely will be practicing lots of pit stops at Phoenix. It's definitely tricky. Obviously long run, short run's gonna have to just nail it, and strategy wise it's probably gonna be completely opposite with each other, and going right at it right from the beginning and trying to get that win. I mean, it's a championship, so we're definitely gonna be going for it.
Well, I wish you very good luck for next week. Congrats on your P2. And I hope that we can talk to you again next week. Maybe it'll be the top tip of the podium for the championship. Are there any shout-outs you can give here at the end of the interview, though?
Everybody at the top, obviously, for practice this week. It was a little off-kilter. It wasn't as much practice as we normally do. Officials, obviously, were just a chaos, so it was kind of, just a mess. So everybody, that you guys put on, the show that you guys put on every week is awesome. Love to go back and watch it. And everybody in my family that allows me to do this while they're all hanging out downstairs and chilling and watching football. So, yeah, pretty much it. Appreciate it, guys.
Well, we appreciate that, Chad, and good luck next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that was our second place finisher, Chad McGinley. Next up, we're going to have Brian Britt talking to Bobby Mantle.
Bobby, definitely fantastic performance from you, man. I mean, there's a lot that we're going to probably have to unpack here. I mean, you led the first half of the race, over 100 laps. You were out front of this parade, and unfortunately, you fell back. You were passed by your teammate Chad McGinley a little after lap 100. You fell back to sixth. I mean, walk us through how did you have to, and what did you have to do to get back up to the lead? It seemed like a tricky journey.
It was a tough one. I made a little mistake. I had a Chad. He had a better run down the backstretch, so he took his opportunity, got by, and I just unfortunately got stuck on the outside, and the train of guys got around the inside, so I just decided to bide my time, be patient, and I figured I would come out stronger in the long run and have a better chance.
And it definitely seemed to work out that way. I mean, I know that your heart rate had to be going pretty high there for a second. Alarm bells were probably ringing. Considering you were not necessarily safe in the top, the final four. So I mean, what was going through your mind there? When you started dropping back.
I just started going into safety mode because I knew I just had to survive this race. I was real comfortable when I was out in the lead, didn't really have to worry about anything. But once I got into the middle of that pack, I just wanted to make sure I kept the truck alive, finish the race in top 5, top 10 position, and I'd be good to go for the playoffs.
Well, you did exactly that. You survived, and you did more than that. You won the race. I mean, I got to ask, you and Chad, you were side by side there on that restart. You had an insane run through 1 and 2. It seemed like he might have laid back a little bit on you. Did he kind of help you get the lead back?
I think he did a little bit. I think he lifted a little early to let me get in ahead of him. And then that way we could both fall in line, run our lines. Otherwise, we would have been battling each other. And who knows, the outcome of this race could have been totally different.
You're 100% right. And I'm not saying this, there's no shame to it. I mean, it was just, I think he knew what was better for the team. And it definitely very good teamwork there for sure between you two drivers. You definitely had the speed to win this race. Both of you guys were just insanely fast. I mean, we talk nothing but good about y'all's team. At the top, it's just been so good here. And what does that do winning this race, as well as, Chad being so good? You both, I mean, I think, are the only team that has 2 drivers that are going to the championship 4. I mean, what does that do for confidence going into Phoenix?
Oh, we're loving it. We're stoked. We're really excited going into Phoenix, and Chad and I have been talking. You won't see any more of those kind gestures of just letting each other go if there's room. Like, we're battling next week. You guys are going to finally get the at the top showdown you've been wanting.
We can't wait. I mean, Bobby versus Chad, fight night next week. We can't wait, man. We're setting the dates, that's for sure. Look forward to it. I know you guys are, both very, very fast drivers. Can't wait to see it, man. Martinsville's been a blast to watch. With that said, how do you feel about Phoenix? Like, what is your confidence level? We heard a little bit from Chad. He said that you seem like you're going to be unloading pretty quick. Do you kind of feel that same way?
I think so, yeah. I think I did all right when we were at Phoenix last time. But now I've got the direct drive wheel, the new pedals, so I'm even more dialed in than I was before. And I'm going to put in the hours like I haven't all season. Like, I want to win this. Like, I'm gunning for the win.
Well, we definitely we'll be out there rooting for you. We love to see that 89 truck succeed. Of course, we got to be unbiased. We just can't wait to see the battle that is going to unfold there. We're going to see, of course, you, Bobby, Justin, and or LeBlanc, of course, and Steve Gerber all go for it. And I know it's going to be insanely entertaining for sure. And we wish you the best of luck, Bobby. Who can we shout out before we let you get out of here?
Shout out to you guys for putting on this broadcast every week for us. Shout out to anybody that tuned in, friends and family. Appreciate you all. That's all I got for you, Brian.
All right, Bobby. Well, thanks for your time, man. And congratulations once again on the win, brother. We'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.
All righty, that was Bobby Mantle, and what a race for him. I mean, man, at least they owned up to it. The Chad did kind of lay over a little bit on him, but he still had that insane run to be able to make that, to even be in that position to take the lead back. I mean, I tell you, if I lost the lead at Martinsville, I think it's gone forever. But no, Bobby, he picked himself up, didn't let himself fall into the rut that he could have fell in. I mean, when you're in the pack after being in the lead for 100 laps, you could just make a mistake, something that a lot of times leads to a bad race at Martinsville, but he did not let that happen, Austin.
No, not at all. Did a great job kind of recovering. He fell back to 5th or 6th place. You're really in the hornet's nest, but he was able to climb his way back up to the front of the field, able to take the race lead back away from his teammate Chad McGinley, and able to punch his ticket into the championship four. Can't wait for next week. Bobby Mantle, Steve Gerber, Chad McGinley, Justin LeBlanc, all fighting for that championship. Gotta say though, I know I've been beating a dead horse with it, but man, those at the top guys look unbeatable at this point. So I really am thinking Bobby Mantle, Chad McGinley. I'm going with Bobby Mantle. I'm going to stick with my prediction that I had earlier today.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I definitely think it's going to be one of those at the top guys. I'm going to go, I got to say, with Chad. I think Chad has just been so hot. He's been winning races. He's been just winning so many races. I mean, it's just been crazy to see the amount of races this guy has, amount of checkered flags this guy has in his closet. That's for sure. But we can't wait to see. And of course, well, Austin McGill is not, our producer saying he's saying Austin McGill, but Austin McGill's not a championship hopeful. But definitely a great race here tonight. Of course, let's take I don't think we really need to go through the whole video, but tonight we're going to have 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, some more Martinsville on the docket. Of course, they're going to be the Xfinity cars, the RGR Gailu Glass Cup Xfinity Series is going to be there. It's going to be an exciting one. 250 laps of action. Of course, I do believe me and Justin Prince will be on the call for that one. Make sure you tune in. But with that, I do believe that brings us to the conclusion of today's broadcast of the Global Racing Truck Series. Congratulations to Bobby Mantle once again, of course, as well as everybody that has gone to the Final Four. I want to give a big shout out, of course, and thank you to Austin Esther for being the best partner in crime I could have. Austin Derbyshire for always bringing some of the best camera angles on the sim and always bringing the replay right on time. And but of course, thank you to everybody as well that tuned in, and thank you again to everybody as well that is involved with it, that maybe didn't get the shout outs for Grid Vision. We thank you for sure. My name is Brian Britt, and we'll see you next time.